First thing I want to do is kind of acknowledge all the people in the process that go into the draft. I think everybody kind of focuses on sometimes the general manager because they come down to the final decision maker, but really at the end of the day it's all the scouts, both pro and college, all the administrative people, both football operations, the trainers, the doctors, our director of security. People work long hours basically to get to this point in time. That being said, obviously I'm very excited about this process, and my first draft as the general manager, and I will open up for questions.
Mike, when you look at first-round picks, a safe pick per se versus a riskier pick, what's more important for the first-round pick, a higher ceiling or a higher floor?
I don't know if there's like an exact answer to that. I think at the end of the day, really, when you think about what we do, we look at all these players and we try to figure out, we try to project what their return is going to be. So we try to think of, hey, what is their ceiling? And correspondingly with that, we look at what their risks are. So for as much as we look at what these guys can be, we try to figure out what will make them fail and not achieve that. So I don't know if I necessarily have a feeling of saying, hey, do you take potential over a safer pick? I think what you try to do is you kind of weigh both of them. It's sort of a balancing act. Well, since it's my first time as a general manager, I don't really have a track record yet. But I think philosophically, I tend to believe, I like the idea of personally getting more picks, because to me, more picks are more opportunity to find players. And really what you end up weighing is how good that one player would be that you're going to move up for the potential 2 or 3, whatever draft picks you can give up for them, and kind of the yield there. So really kind of looking, and it's kind of like we were talking about before, it's almost like a portfolio. So do you pick one stock you think is going to get the big return, or do you pick 3 stocks which may not actually hit the same ceiling, but as a culminate, the overall value of it actually gets a higher yield? Me personally, I think you approach it, how I will approach it going forward here, is when you're kind of on the clock. I mean, we're going to reach out to every team ahead of us and kind of just gauge, I mean, get a value of what they're looking for in compensation to move up in the draft. That doesn't mean we're actually trying to go up necessarily and get a player, but you figure out what the market value is, basically. And then what you do is you see what unfolds with the first few picks and, who's available, and then you are at least informed to go make that decision. And we'll have that discussion before we get to the draft about if we want to move up in the draft.
How much stock do you put into that draft valuation chart as you talk about whether trading up, trading down in terms of, I know that's not a hard and fast thing, so that's something you guys consult?
Yeah. What we actually do, every team has one, first of all, and I want to, if off the top of my head, I think historically, I think maybe Dallas with Tex Schramm, I could be wrong, started that years ago. They went through this whole process where they kind of analyzed players in the draft. I kind of think that the trade charts, everybody has their own trade chart. A lot of people have the same one. We actually have, we exchange them with other teams. So when we're talking to a team trying to work out a trade, and it's not necessarily a competitive advantage, it just makes it easier. Like because we're going to see, we'll sort of have our valuation, they'll have their valuation, and when you talk to them, what you tend to do is you try to, it gives you sort of a common starting point, and then at least you kind of get in the right ballpark. Now we use one, like your original question, yes, we use one just like everybody else does. I think what happens is where it varies sometimes is how you value the player either you're trying to go up to get in terms of what you'll give up for him, or how much you value a player you may take at that spot and trade out of that spot. Since obviously it's voluntary. So I mean, Mo's under contract, as we're all aware. It's voluntary. So I mean, I think I'll probably leave it at that. I don't really want to comment on if I'd like him to be here or not be here. I'm sure Mo is doing a good job wherever he is working out. But again, these are all voluntary, so he's not required to be here for them.
Is that something he made you guys aware of, or did you find out through reading like our stuff? I mean, did he give you a heads up in advance? Hey, I'm going to work out on my own.
Well, I didn't personally talk to Mo. I think Todd. I'd probably defer that to Todd. I know Todd had talked to those guys, but no, I quite frankly, I've been so focused on the draft. That it was one of those things like I basically read your column. No, I'm just joking. I was aware there's a possibility of that, and but it was one of but there's a time and a place for it. So, I mean, we'll deal with Mo and his agent obviously at some point in time here going forward.
Mike, do you expect Damon or Jaiquawn to sign their restricted tender soon? I know they were here for the first day.
Yeah.
the other teams can offer them.
Yeah, I believe I would expect them to do that. I would probably defer to. I would probably have to get back to you on that. I mean, they're here, they're working. I assume it's all gonna. I mean, they've signed whatever paperwork they have so far. I don't necessarily have. I must admit, I've been so focused on the draft. I know they're out there, so. But I would imagine they're going to be doing that. Yes. I think everybody, probably in my role, I would imagine, and all my friends I've talked to about this, it's, you want to be perfect, okay? You want to make sure every pick you make is the best pick at that point in time. In theory, that's where the pressure kind of hits you, because really when you look at the draft, and you look at, we've evaluated probably just under 1,400 players, and then every one of those players will go eventually have some kind of career in the NFL at some level of production. And the tricky thing is there's so much information and data and evaluations to go through all this information, and what you're trying to do is be as accurate as you can possibly be projecting the future.